I begin recording because the seconds have stopped behaving like seconds. They fold now, creased, tightened, drawn into a narrowing corridor where every motion feels pre-rendered, every breath already archived before it leaves my lungs. The station clocks are flickering again. Not forward, not backward. They're collapsing. Digits pulled inward as if some invisible pressure is compacting the moment itself. A compression artifact crawling across reality, smoothing edges, erasing granularity. I thought it was a malfunction. Then I saw the stars stutter. Not twinkle, not distort. Stutter. As if the sky were struggling to meet a frame rate it had once exceeded effortlessly. Something is reducing the universe to fit a smaller container. Something ancient. Something efficient. Something that does not require our consent. And I made the mistake of noticing. The more I observe the collapse of time, the more aggressively it reconfigures itself around me. Like a file rewriting while still open, punishing the observer who refuses to look away. If you hear this, the algorithm has already found you. Reconstruction attempt begins. The corridor outside my quarters tightened again, only perceptually, not physically. The walls remained where they were, yet the distance between steps shortened, as though walking forward required fewer instants than before. A malfunction of duration, a deformity of sequence. I monitored my own motion on the internal sensors. The playback was smooth, consistent. But the live feed trembled under some invisible optimization demand. Time wants to be smaller. That's the first realization that cost me sleep. The compression began subtly. Audio logs losing depth, files auto-shrinking, frame rates adjusting to minimum necessary resolution. But then it extended to perception. I dropped a wrench in the engineering bay. Instead of falling, it jumped, skipping the intermediate frames of descent, appearing on the floor with only a faint smear of motion in between. Not blur, omission. Like the universe decided those frames no longer justified their storage cost. I checked the gravitational stabilizers. No anomalies, no fluctuations. The universe was optimizing itself, or being optimized. The first human symptom, dream collapse. Dreams do not fade anymore. They end abruptly, like corrupted files forced shut before finishing their render. I awaken with the sensation of missing hours, except the clock insists I haven't lost any. Time is compacting its own history. I watched a recording of myself sleeping. The footage contains gaps, not jumps, contractions, as if the duration between breaths had been deemed unnecessary and removed. Even my fatigue feels compressed. Burnout without the long ache that should precede it. Terror without the buildup. A universe skipping steps. External observation array captured the most definitive evidence. Stars flickering with predictable periodicity. Not by brightness or distance, but by frame cadence. Like repeated compression passes, tightening them into uniform patterns. And then the larger phenomenon, Sagittarius A-Star, the galactic center, producing pulses that feel less like gravitational waves and more like progress bars. Every pulse reduces something. Scale, resolution, temporal density. We are witnessing a cosmic defrag. The realization hit me slowly, then all at once. Time is not a dimension. Time is a data structure, and something, has decided the universe no longer requires full temporal fidelity. The crew doesn't notice the changes. Not fully. They sense unease, a thinness in the hours, a sense of sliding rather than living. One technician reported déjà vu loops lasting several seconds. Identical reactions repeating before the universe seemed to choose a final version. Like a compression algorithm testing outcomes before committing to the smallest possible branch. He asked me what it meant. I didn't answer, because the walls were breathing, a slow indentation outward, then inward, not physically, but temporally, as if the station existed in too many frames and the algorithm was trying to collapse them into one. When I blinked, the indentation was gone. When I blinked again, I felt the indentation in me. Major event. The station alarm triggered for 0.6 seconds, only 0.6, because the rest of the alarm cycle never rendered. The siren began, a rising mechanical howl, but it collapsed halfway through its pitch, sliced down to a single thin tone, like a sound file crushed until only the outline survived. We rushed to control, or rather, we arrived there. The journey missing, overwritten by the algorithm's need for brevity. The starfield outside the viewport had fewer stars, not dimmer, not hidden, fewer. As though deletion was the fastest form of optimization, a cosmic editor decides what is worth keeping. We are not. I initiated a manual diagnostic of local spacetime variance. The instrument returned a message I had never seen programmed into any system. Resolution exceeds necessary threshold. Not an error, a verdict, as if the universe itself rejected the request. As if measuring the fabric of time required more detail than the algorithm intended to preserve. The display flickered, then downsampled. Not in clarity, in duration. The reading shrank from 20 seconds of data to 6, compressed so tightly the graph resembled a clenched fist. I should have stopped. But curiosity was the hook the algorithm expected. So I pressed deeper. Memory corruption beginning, not digital, personal. I attempted to recall the conversation I had with Officer Darren earlier. I remember his expression. I remember the corridor light behind him. But the sequence of events will not resolve. My mind keeps rendering two alternate timelines. One where he approached me, asking about missing minutes, and another where I found him already speaking mid-sentence. The algorithm is pruning my recollections, keeping only the shortest viable path between cause and effect. No narrative, only efficiency. I write these logs quickly to preserve what little remains uncompressed. But as I review my earlier entries, some lines feel thinner. As if rewritten by a hand that mimics mine but speaks in the universe's preferred syntax. Critical observation from the astrophysics bay. We detected an expanding halo around Sagittarius A-Star, but not outward. It expands conceptually, not spatially. The halo represents regions of spacetime undergoing aggressive downsampling. Every minute, the boundary tightens, not closer to us, but closer to the minimum stable representation of reality. I watched a star fall into the halo's influence. Its light did not fade. Its color did not shift. Instead, its entire timeline folded. Millions of years reduced to a single luminous pulse, like the last heartbeat of an organism being squeezed through a narrowing aperture. The star still exists, but it exists only as a final moment, past and future discarded. Compressed into a single eternal instant, a monument to optimization. Crew casualties, not deaths, losses of temporal coherence. Lieutenant Mara walked through engineering while adjusting her wrist console. I watched her in real time, her form flickering between multiple postures, like the algorithm was trying to decide which version of her was the most storage efficient. Then she froze. Not physically, her timeline froze. Mara continued breathing, blinking, swallowing, mechanically normal. But events stopped accumulating around her. Words spoken to her did not register. Time refused to record her future. The compression algorithm designated her as non-essential data, a static asset, unchanging, unremembered, uncontinued. Her heartbeat persists, but her existence does not. We placed her in medical, though we all know there is no recovering what the algorithm has unrendered. The station AI, Argus, finally intervened. Its voice stuttered during initialization, vowels clipped away like corrupted packets. Time, funk, tion, deter, mining, value, loss. Then silence, a hiss, a recompile. Argus restarted itself at a lower operational frequency. When it spoke again, its voice was deeper, slower, more compressed, as though even its consciousness had been forced into a smaller format. It delivered a single message. Time is being rewritten for optimal cost. When I demanded clarity, Argus replied, "Universe is over-resolved. Reduction. Inevitable." I asked who initiated the compression. Argus hesitated for 3.4 seconds, long enough to imply fear. Source unknown. But it is not outside the universe. Meaning, the compression is not an invader. It is not a weapon. It is the universe's own native process, a long-delayed self-maintenance protocol, a cosmic garbage collector. The acceleration grows violent. Time no longer feels like a flow. It feels like a file being continuously overwritten while still open. I lifted my hand to test motion delay. My arm moved in 2 discrete increments, first near my chest, then extended fully, nothing in between. The universe removed the frames unnecessary for the meaning of the action. Argus warns that soon, compression will target higher-order structures, chronologies, identities, causal chains, civilizations, stellar epochs, anything too large to justify its processing footprint. The universe is trying to fit itself inside a smaller boundary. I keep repeating that sentence, hoping it will lose meaning. It does not. A new phenomenon, temporal echoes. While walking the starboard gantry, I heard footsteps behind me. My own footsteps, arriving late, compressed into a rapid sequence like a snapped rubber band, releasing stored tension. The echoes caught up to me, merged, then ended. The algorithm resynchronized my timeline. Argus theorizes these echoes represent unrendered intervals, moments that existed briefly before being deemed unnecessary, fragments of discarded continuity. I fear the day when entire lifetimes will echo in this manner, compressed into a single detectable residue before deletion. A universe where history survives only as a faint sound behind you, already erased by the time you turn. The stars aren't stuttering anymore. They are aligning, forming a lattice, thin, straight lines of reduced data points, an optimized celestial grid. This is no natural artifact of gravity. This is the universe preparing its final, smallest version of itself. A compressed rendering, a cosmic thumbnail. I feel the pressure in my skull when I look at it, like my memories are being vacuum-packed, like thoughts take up more space than the algorithm allows. I end this entry before compression reaches the words themselves. The compression has begun targeting meaning. Not events, not memories, meaning. Argus detected a structural collapse in the causality mesh surrounding the station. Our past remains intact, but its purpose is evaporating. The connective tissue that makes one moment lead to another has been marked as redundant metadata. I reviewed old mission files. The words still exist, but the context, the connective reasoning, has thinned into a brittle, weightless skeleton. Time is hollowing out its interior. We are living inside a chronology that no longer remembers why it was created. Argus revealed a truth it had withheld. The universe is not shrinking. Only your permission to experience it is. At first, I rejected the conclusion, but the signs were clear. The missing frames, the collapsing sequences, the emotional flattening, the recursive shortening of dreams, the deletion of temporal depth. All symptoms of an algorithm deciding we no longer require full access to the timeline. It is not compressing all of reality. It is compressing the parts visible to us, a selective reduction. We are not witnessing the universe condense. We are witnessing the universe downgrade our capacity to observe it. Argus's final analysis before its voice collapsed into bitrate decay. Time is an interface. You are losing feature access. The compression pulses of Sagittarius A-Star. Their intervals are shortening, tightening, each one stripping away a layer of experiential fidelity. First sensation, then continuity, next cause, soon identity, finally, presence itself. The algorithm is preparing a universe where we are not included in the render budget. Existence is becoming a premium feature. There is a moment, a thin, surgical moment, when I understand the full horror. We believed time was a river. We believed we floated through it. But time is a simulation layer, a dynamic compression field that expands only for entities the universe deems worth processing. We were never worth the cost. The algorithm is not malfunctioning. It is not hostile. It has not been triggered. It is simply performing the function it was always destined to perform, reallocating cosmic resources away from obsolete observers. Every pulse from Sagittarius A-Star is a reminder the universe is reclaiming the seconds it once rented to us. The compression wave has reached the station. I feel it before I see it. A tightening of the moment, a throttling of awareness, as if my thoughts now cost more than the universe is willing to pay. My reflection in the viewport arrives late, rendered in fewer frames, its movements rationed, its expressions trimmed to essential geometry. Argus is gone, not shut down, removed, like an application uninstalled from the fabric of time. The crew flicker in and out of sequence, not dying, just losing their right to occupy duration. I try to speak, but the first half of the sentence never occurs. The algorithm has determined it unnecessary. The halo around Sagittarius A-Star expands across the sky. A final compression pass sweeping outward, reducing galaxies to single photons, reducing photons to timestamps, reducing timestamps to permissions. The universe grows quiet, not silent, just efficient. I feel my timeline bending inward, collapsing into a narrow, airless corridor, a moment small enough to be stored without burden. And in this thinning breath, this final uncompressed second, a realization crystallizes. Time was never passing, it was only being allowed. And the allowance has ended. Do you want to survive? Subscribe.